Welcome back. Now, world leaders in politics and business are gathered in Davos, Switzerland, for the 54th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. Chief on the South African delegation's list is attracting investors at the gathering to help spur much-needed growth in the country. Sithembile Ntombela, who's acting CEO of Brand SA, joins us with more detail. Sithembile, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Very keen, Sithembile, maybe just to first find out about the mood at Davos, I think 2024. It's very different, I think, to what it might have been in 2023 by virtue just of what's happened around the world, around the globe, tensions and so on. Are we still seeing a usual upbeat gathering?
Yes, of course we are. I mean, there are a number of states, about 30 plus, that are coming. And alone, if you speak to Team SA, we're talking about 50 plus participation across government, business, as well as civil society. So I would say definitely there's still an interest. Why wouldn't there be an interest when the world is so fractured, as you have said? I mean, so it will really take that collaborative efforts to come up with solutions.
Speaking about Team SA, I'm keen to get your thoughts on the story that we will be selling at Davos in 2024. It has been a difficult 12 to 18 months for ourselves as an economy. And I'm keen now just to get the insights on what Team SA will be presenting to the world about what we have to offer.
Look, so Nontando, actually Team SA follows the theme of the WEF, which speaks about rebuilding trust. So that's the area of focus, and really it challenges one to shift, to have that paradigm shift in the approach in terms of how we do things. So as Team SA, our role is to really sort of reassure what do we mean and put it into context. What do we mean about rebuilding trust? So our message is very clear. We are an attractive destination for investment in the African continent, and our message is really, if you really think about what does rebuilding trust means, it simply speaks to going back to the basics and reflecting on the old strategies, what worked, what did not work, and why are we in this position. So as Team South Africa, we are going to tap into our resilience, because we know we have that economy that is resilient. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but it is what it is. We grew despite other countries not growing just post-COVID. It just shows you that sometimes we can surprise ourselves. We also have a resilient nation in many ways, that we epitomize what resilience is, whether it's in sports, creative arts. So the second pillar of our messaging also speaks to reassuring and being honest. And really, when I bring it home, it speaks to us having the ability to tell the story of how far we have gone since the last Davos. For instance, in the structural reforms. So the agenda of energy, what has been done? Have we really committed to the reforms that we spoke about last year, so that we don't sound as if we are recycling news? So our story is pretty much about a progressive South Africa that takes the economy and its people quite seriously. And that way we tap into our third pillar, which is reshaping the narrative, because as Brand South Africa, that's our core mandate. We have to shift the perceptions and also bridge the gap between reality and perceptions.
I'm also keen to get your thoughts on, the position of South Africa and where we have been geopolitically. We had, the Lady R situation a few months ago. Right now, we have the ICG case. Is this at all expected to come up, Sithembile? And I'm wondering how we intend on fielding that question, because I do imagine that it is something that will be brought up, by various parties and for various reasons. Some pro our stance, but many even anti.
Absolutely, you're right. I mean, currently, I can tell you, we arrived yesterday. Thus far, there hasn't been any questions around those areas, but it doesn't mean that we must be complacent about it. So, in as far as Lady R, I think we are very clear in terms of our posture, because we are very much transparent about, our president also taking a stand of outsourcing and having an independent body doing an investigation, and also articulating and sharing what the outcome of the investigations are. So I'd like to believe that Team SA is very much empowered to tackle that topic. On the recent ICJ, I think South Africa has always stood for peace. Back in the days of Madiba, I mean, there is a quote where he says, we will not be free until Palestine is free. So it's not something that we are taking on as a country to come across as opportunistic as such, but it's something that is embedded in our, and it's in our DNA, in our identity, that we believe in a two-state solution. That's the approach, and that's how things ought to be. And what we are advocating for really with that situation is that the two states must come to an agreement where they're able to cease fire, so that, you know, it's not civilians, everyday civilians that are impacted, but the way it's done in a manner that's not really to destroy. So I think that's not a very scare point, but it's a very bold and brave posture that South Africa has taken. And I think it has a lot to do with who we are as a country, especially having experienced apartheid in the past. So who are we to be standby watchers? We must be part of the people that have moved the paradigm and have shifted the paradigm with bold and inspiration as well. And I believe Team SA is also very much able and capable to deal with that matter.
Before I let you go, I'm also keen to hear about the initiatives that South Africa will host out in Davos, you know, and the kinds of guests you're hoping to attract, and the investments, you know, the areas of investments, Sithembile, where we're hoping investment will go.
So in line with our strategy as a country, we know that energy, I mean, if you look at the topics of the sub-pillars of WEF, it speaks to securities. So the issues of security, the issues of climate change, the issues of AI. So ordinarily, when you look at that, it preempts the sectors that are involved. So I'd like to believe that definitely the green economy is an area of focus, and that's where we are trying to get the investors to come and invest in South Africa. The area of science and technology and innovation is another area. I mean, we know as a country we are the host of the SKA, and we need to ensure that from a scientific perspective, we also have investors that are able to draw and pull from our own expertise, so that the industry itself grows. So that is the second area. They also definitely the digital economy. Well, they classify it as the new economy, but it does not necessarily say leave people behind. So ours is to ensure that as Team SA, we are going to each and every touch points that we are going to have starting today, where we will be hosting a media cocktail targeting international media. Now, if you really want your news to fly, you better, call on the right people. So we are hosting a media cocktail, and we are being deliberate in our messaging, and we are going to make sure that they understand the areas of investing, because that is why we are here, and we are going to give them sort of leaflets around where and how, what do you do. And particularly what I like is that we also have the members of the TTIC with us amongst the government team. And then tomorrow we have an SA night, because we want to engage international community and share our South African culture. And that's what the SA night will be tomorrow, focusing on our heritage, culture, our music, our cuisine. And for me, that's the soft power that we need to harness as a country. That is our competitive advantage that we have built over the years, and that is what we are known for. So that's a strategic move for us as well, to get people to mellow down, and using the softer side of the country whilst we discuss the serious stuff, which is investment. And then that will be followed by business breakfast on day 3, which is going to be on Wednesday. So it's a jam-packed agenda. Day 3, definitely talking technology. We are talking about digital as well. And that will also be followed by the last panel discussion, where we're going to talk about tourism. How do we tackle over tourism in countries? So essentially, it is a jam-packed agenda.
Well, looking forward to hearing all about it, Sithembile. Thank you so much for your time today, and do enjoy Davos. That was Sithembile Ntombela, Acting CEO of Brand South Africa.